the second question you're asking is regarding the rooftop solar tax incentive. So we briefly discussed this, I think probably around like 3 weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken. So this is that that incentive came out in the budget speech, and basically there were two incentives that came out. I'm repeating this just in case a person watches this video and gets confused between the two. Two incentives came out. The one is for businesses, the one is for individuals. Two very different incentives. In fact, they don't even work remotely the same, right? One's a deduction and allowance in terms of an existing piece of legislation, but it just makes it very sexy, or a lot sexier than it was in the past. And then the other one, look at me saying sexy and tax. So
that's why I'm laughing. I'm like,
yeah.
I gotta love sexy tax.
And then the other one is an incentive for the individuals. It only lasts for a year. So it's next year, end of Feb, it's not going to exist anymore. And it's basically, if I have to summarize it in the simplest terms, it's 15,000 back in your pocket after you invest in solar. But there's a whole bunch of requirements. So number one, it's only solar panels. Number two, it's only 25% of the spend on the solar panels. And only under those circumstances would you actually get a 15,000 Rand discount on the tax that you need to pay. So if you only owe SARS 5,000 Rand in tax, sorry, you only get a 5,000 Rand discount. If you owe SARS 20,000 Rand in tax, you get 15 off and you only pay SARS 5,000 Rand, right? So people's common issue with this is, hold on, wait, but that's a lot, because for 15,000 Rand, it has to be 25%. So theoretically, I'd have to be spending 60,000 Rand only on the solar panels for me to be able to get back the 15,000. And it's only solar panels, not even the installation of the solar panels. So you'd have to buy 60K worth of solar panels to be able to get the 15 back. It happens. It's definitely plausible. And remember, at the end of the day, this isn't a question of make as much money as you can from SARS. So if you only get 30,000 Rand of solar panels, guess what? You get a little bit back from SARS. So let's all just say thank you and carry on with our lives. Now, to answer the specific question, so this is more an economist question, to be honest with you. Will the rebate result in high solar prices? So economist hat on, like first time ever. So yes, there is a risk, because now everyone selling solar goes, oh, well, you've got 15K. So let's increase the prices to provide for the fact that now it's more affordable for you to pay for it because you're getting it back. The flip side of it is solar's in such high demand at this moment that you've gotten to a stage of, number one, technology advancements, which is inevitably going to cause a decrease in pricing, as it always does. I mean, simple examples like cell phones, internet, that sort of thing. Like at some point or another, you're able to reproduce technologies for a cheaper price. And yes, there's improvement. So there might very well be a super cool solar panel that comes out that's a fortune, but your basic level is going to eventually reduce in price because of scalability, because of the need, the demand, right? So that's the main thing. And bottom line is competitive behavior. It's a competitive market. I'm going to try to beat that guy by giving it to you for X amount lower. And at some point or another, both those things are going to combine because of the great demand, and it's just going to happen. It's the solar incentive. And I think this question is off the back of a number of years ago, where there were solar incentives for a couple of things, but load shedding wasn't as big as it was now. Maybe there the prices went up because people knew that they could afford to pay for it, but that's not the case anymore. I don't feel, but again, that's not really within my area of expertise. But I do have an opinion, so there you go. There's my opinion.
There you go.
Bruno, can I ask a question quickly on the tax deduction? Say, for instance, you're not the owner of the property and you're installing solar. Either you're an occupant, you're a tenant, you're whatever.
Sure.
Do you only get that tax benefit on solar if you are the owner of the property, or would that, I mean, is there a link between the tax benefit and ownership?
Sure. It's actually a brilliant question. So now bear in mind again, so we have to divide the two up. So the rebate has nothing to do with ownership. It's you're putting solar panels, you're buying the solar panels, and it's going up. It's being installed somewhere, right? So that rebate is for the individual that actually spends the money on solar panels that are installed. So your residential accommodation, tenants can pay for it. They can get that rebate, no problem at all. With commercial, the difficulty behind it is if a commercial tenant is allowed to have a certain allowance where they write back, they basically depreciate that asset. But by the definition of our law, then you retain ownership of the specific asset if you're going to depreciate, because once you dispose of it, there's a recoupment component. But forget that for a second. So now the problem with commercial is if you go and install solar in a building belonging to a commercial landlord, our normal rules when it comes to tenancy and leases and stuff like that is as soon as you affix that, something like that, it normally forms part of the building and belongs to the landlord. In that instance, it's a bit of a problem because it's not your asset anymore. You're not, how can you depreciate an asset that doesn't belong to you? So different rules depending on which incentive you'd be using. If you can agree with the landlord that you retain ownership of the asset and you're able to remove it once you leave the premises, then I don't see a problem why you wouldn't be able to deduct it.
Thank you. Okay, now I'll keep quiet.
Sure.
Right. That's good. So yeah, a very informative episode. Obviously, there's a lot of talks about the solar tax incentives. People have a lot of questions. And obviously, it's something that is SARS related. So everybody wants to get it right. You don't want to end up on the wrong side. So thank you for the questions. And we'll be doing quite a number of question and answer series regarding the tax rebate. So stick to the channel, and there's a lot more of that coming up. And
sure.
Thank you for today. And hopefully we'll see everybody again next week, and maybe sooner too.
Thank you so much. We'll have to see.